I actually turned it back on.
Okay, good.
So Barry, say your full name, first name, last name.
I'm Barry Kessler.
Barry Kessler. This is before the show. So Barry, welcome to Timelines of Success.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks very much for having me.
Well, before we get too deep into this, we're actually doing this on Skype, so you're going to be able to watch in person the uncut version of the podcast by going to Touch the Soldier, which is me. I'm going to change that artwork eventually. Just push on it, and up should go a link. Push the link, and it should go right into YouTube, and you'll be able to watch us.
Very good.
So Barry, I'm kind of excited. I've had 90 some odd interviews on Timeline, and you're like the perfect interview because you've transitioned from the jewelry business, family, entrepreneur, long term, into real estate. And we're of course in the real estate business, but you've really done well. And I know how hard it is to start up in real estate. So tell us about yourself a little bit more and how you transitioned from that jewelry business into real estate.
Well, thanks, Bill. My wife is a real estate agent. She's been a real estate agent. Well, she started in real estate in 2008, just as bad things were going on. So I was, at that time, I was in the jewelry business. It was a family business. And my dad opened the store in 1967. I went to work for him when I was 16 years old. And basically, I was a gemologist, a jewelry designer, and I really enjoyed the jewelry business.
Were you in Burbank then?
Yeah, I was in Burbank, California, and they opened that store way back when, in the times when there was Laugh-In. Remember Laugh-In?
Absolutely. So what part of Burbank?
Beautiful downtown Burbank.
Were you raised there?
No, actually, I was raised in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
I grew up in Tarzana, and my dad opened the store when I was 8. My grandfather had passed away, and he had some money and went to a couple of relatives and said, I'd like to open my own jewelry store, and he did.
So for those out there worldwide, Burbank is really in close proximity to a lot of studios, a lot of wealth. Glendale is known for its wealth. Burbank's known for Burbank because of the studios, and Lockheed. It's a pretty interesting place, isn't it?
Definitely. We had a lot of clients from Lockheed and a lot of clients from the studios. And when either one of those places went on strike, boy, it was big trouble for our business.
Yeah, and then, of course, Laugh-In.
Oh yeah, Laugh-In, and
beautiful downtown Burbank.
Our store was the butt of their jokes. It was in beautiful downtown Burbank, and they'd cut to pictures of beautiful downtown Burbank. At that time in 1967, 68, 69, it was pretty awful, but today it is a beautiful place.
Right, a lot of redevelopment. It's one of the older cities of Southern California.
Yeah.
So they had to go through
railroad tracks.
Anything along the railroad tracks. That's right.
Yep.
So anyway, driving on. Sorry to go sidetrack there. So you're in the jewelry business. You're in Burbank.
Yeah, and being in the jewelry business, I really enjoyed. But as 2010 approached, things were pretty bad. The economy was awful. People were losing their houses. People were more concerned with putting a roof over their head and having food on the table than buying a diamond ring or something like that. And so it was very hard times for us, and it was kind of painful too. I had to approach my dad, who was approaching 80 at the time, and say to him, "Hey, Dad, it's time we fold this up. We're losing money on a daily basis." And so we closed the store down in June of 2010. And I got my real estate license, and I transitioned.
So how long did you have the store in the family?
1967 until 2010. So it was 43 years.
Whew, that's a long time.
It was a long time. There were a lot of very, very upset people when we left Burbank.
It's hard to do. And, it's just timing. It's the economy. But you're going in. Now, what made you go into real estate? I mean, it's not a great time to get into real estate either, is it?
It was an awful time to get into real estate. But my wife was in real estate, and I was helping her at the time, do door dropping around our neighborhood or our farm, telling people that we're in the business. And, I had a lot of clients over 43 years in the jewelry business, and I had myself a really great mailing list. And so I sat down after I left, and I got my real estate license, and I contacted these people. I wrote a nice letter, said, "Hey, remember me? You trusted me with your jewelry. Now you're going to trust me with your houses."
So that
And
helps your personal farm, personal people, people
absolutely,
over a lifetime.
absolutely, that it has been a blessing. It really has been for me to be able to take that and take what I had at the jewelry business and bring some of those people along with me along for the ride.
So let's transition up now. So you're using really old technology, mail, letters, personal relationships. I guess that's the old world, we might say. Now new media is coming in there. You are way ahead of most people, especially as agents, on your website and on our use of podcasting and new media. How do you make that transition? And we'll talk a little bit about your successes too. You've had some very good years in a very short period of time.
Well, making that transition was not too difficult to do. The real estate industry is so technologically changing right now. I mean, everything is about the internet. Everything is about capturing leads. All this stuff. Um, I took my knowledge of marketing from the jewelry business and brought it with me over to the real estate business. But I found that there was just so much stuff going on, and I was being bombarded by all of this technology. But I was open to it, and I was open to learn. And I was only 51 years old, 50, and so I could still learn a few new tricks. And our broker is very he wants to make sure that everybody knows the latest stuff, and I just immersed myself in all the technology that was out there. And I tripped into this thing. Real estate, there's this great emphasis on getting yourself out on YouTube, just for SEO value and whatnot. And so I wanted to learn how to take a really boring, dull YouTube video of me sitting there going, okay, and here's what happens when the interest rate goes down, and basically have something more exciting for people to watch. So I go online and I'm trying to find how to make your YouTube videos more interesting, and I stumble across Pat Flynn. Of Smart Passive Income, I think
Right.
was his company.
He,
I know he's got a couple others.
amazing guy.
Yeah, and so here's a guy, and he's telling you how to use PowerPoint, and he's telling you how to use like some sort of a whiteboard so that you can draw stuff, and you know all of these great techniques. He's giving it all for free. I'm looking at this, and I'm going, what is he selling? And I couldn't tell what he's selling. And then I'm looking further, and then he's talking about doing a podcast and how easy it is to do one of these, and I'm going to teach you how to do one of these. And then boom, right in my head, I'm like, oh my God, a podcast? I can do a podcast. I'm a ham. I could
It's not
talk.
easy, but it's not tough.
No, well, he makes it sound easy. It is
Yeah.
not.
No.
But I got to say that I looked at that and I saw, and here's a guy, and he's blogging and he's doing podcasts and he's doing YouTube videos and he's giving it all away. And I'm going, okay, what gives? What is this all about? And of course, that's how I learned about giving back, so that you're going to get back. I mean, it's amazing how it happens, and it happens in my office. It happens with agents that I deal with on a daily basis, and it happens when I give information on my podcasts to clients and to prospective clients.
Right, right. And so that's where you are, podcasting, your websites. You have two websites. You have a sort of a hybrid traditional real estate website every tied in. But I'll tell you what, your just WordPress site is pretty darn good.
So thank you.
So
Thanks.
how do people find you nowadays in real estate?
Well, how do they find me? They find me by going online to trooprealtors.com or just typing in my name, barrykessler.com. That's BARRY Kessler.com. I do open houses like all other real estate agents do, and so I have a nice little setup. During my open house, I set up my laptop. I show a YouTube video of me explaining the home buying process, for example, and I advertise my podcast on the back of my card, and that they can find me there. I do all kinds of other things too. I've got this guy who's a strawberry man. He's a vendor, and I go and I leave my information with him. If you go to SeeMeValleyStrawberries.com, you'll see me making chocolate covered strawberries, and you'll see me interviewing the strawberry guy. And I do that because I make stuff for my open houses, right? So I bake and I make chocolate covered strawberries. My name's Barry, so
B-A-A.
BA,
You
yes,
know,
thank you, instead of the BERRY. But see, and so I kind of I put that in there. So I'm the Barry man, So uh, that's kind of incorporated into my business, and it's also part of my listing presentation. I go to talk to people when I'm doing my listing, and I say, hey, I bake and I make these great treats for the open houses, and I've got special signs, and
well,
so yeah, I mean it's a lot of fun.
you're going to have to send me all those links. We'll put them on the Timelines of Success show notes.
Cool.
And I'm going to, just for grins, I'm going to see if my wife can put this YouTube up on her blog. A little real estate action back and forth.
Fantastic.
You mentioned your presentations. Do you do a listing presentation online? Show
I
the
don't do
steps?
one online. I try to, I do most of my listing presentation on my iPad. Um, I could even have them sign the listing agreement on my iPad if I want them to. It's really effective. I used to come with a handful of stuff, and I've learned so many things, and I've got so many tools that I can just bring on that iPad, and I bring a hotspot with me, and I just sit down, and the clients love it. I mean, a lot of these clients have never touched an iPad, right? Some of them are older,
Yep.
never touched one, and man, they get one in their hands, and ooh, this is cool.
That's a
Uh,
good concept there. That's a good way to break folks in to
oh
the
yeah, and I use it in my open houses too. I play music on it, and I have a presentation from a company called Cloud CMA, great company, and they have beautiful uh, these comparative market analysis, and
right. My wife pays for that in California. I think it's free over here though,
it's well, I
with her
get it. Yeah, I
membership.
get it free through my broker, and
Yep.
also through my MLS. But I have
Yep.
that on there. It's got beautiful pictures. It's got different loan scenarios and stuff like that. So I've got that music playing, and I've got the treats, and yeah, I use that iPad for everything.
That's good. So you definitely have got everything covered. Now, why do you think most agents aren't as far advanced as you are?
Whew. I don't know. It's funny. I came into my office and just became fascinated with technology. There's a lot of people out there, older agents. There's a lot of older agents out there that just go, "Oh my God, not another thing. Oh, I can't learn another thing." And I just embraced it. In fact, I embraced it so, and I went to my manager and I said, "Hey, would you like? I can do some lunch and learns. I can teach some technology to people. I can teach people how to do QR codes, how to use all the tools that you as a broker give them. So why don't you let me do that?" And they said, "Sure." So I was teaching classes with 1 year under my belt to people who have been selling real estate for 30 years.
Right.
So, I just think it has to do with the willingness to, to want to learn.
Are you seeing some of the younger real estate agents really flying with technology?
Definitely.
The
Yeah.
baby boom, not the baby boomers, but the millennials, the people
Yeah,
under 35, 32, they don't have to think. They can just do because
they can.
they grew up in the environment.
Absolutely. They have no problem picking that stuff up and going for it. But the one thing that I do have, I do have a little advantage over some of those young whippersnappers, and that's my gray hair.
Right. And your list, that relationship you've built with those people over years from your father to yourself,
Yeah, true.
the
They say,
relationships. Yeah.
yeah, they say the average age is 55 of a real estate agent, a 55-year-old woman. So I kind of missed the boat on half of that.
You got it. You got it. That's good. So a successful transition, a real strong producer, gross commission some of your years and inside 4 years over 200,000.
Close to 200,000,
So
yes.
that's good. That's a good start. And generally in this economy, as it improves, you'll do nothing but go up.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. So I'm ready for a good year this year.
Just bank your money because in real estate we always have some weak years that pop up from time to time.
I'll take that advice.
In 20 years with my wife, we've had at least two. So very good. So driving on into We're going to go into the bottom line upfront questions. And these are questions I ask everyone. And the first thing I'm going to ask is, do you use a Mac or a PC? And what type of phone do you have?
I use a PC. I'm kind of cheap, so I haven't gotten into the Mac world yet.
My wife still uses a PC, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
force my MacBook Pro on her.
Well, eventually I'm going to go Mac, but right now it's PC. I use I have a Samsung Galaxy 3,
And you got the
Galaxy
iPad.
S3, and I got the iPad. You know what? Everything works okay. I mean,
It works.
believe it or not, they all sync okay.
Do you use Google Mail?
I do. I use Gmail,
Gmail,
and
yeah.
I also use I use Evernote, which also goes very freely through all those different platforms, which is nice.
Right, right. That's very good. So, man, that's an interesting combination of what you just said. Yeah, I threw in the iPad too because you talked about it earlier. It's an interesting
Yeah.
combination. What are some of your favorite new technologies, and what makes you most productive with those technologies? What are the technologies that make you more productive? That's a better way to ask it.
Okay. Well, what makes me more productive? I use Evernote, as I just mentioned. Uh, it's um, it's fantastic. Uh, you with Evernote, the problem is that you kind of have to build stuff yourself. I mean, they give you the platform and then you have to figure it out. Um, but there's this guy named Dean Ovalette. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think
He
I massacred his name.
Right, he teaches Evernote, right, for real estate agents.
For real estate
Yeah,
agents,
I've heard
yeah.
of him.
And I got his book, and I'm starting to use that in my business. So that helps me a lot. He actually uses it for client management, as well as he just carries all of his files along with him everywhere he goes on this Evernote. I mean, it's great, right?
Right, it's on the
So
cloud.
yeah, it's on the cloud, and so every one of his escrows, wherever he is, he's got it. He's got it in his file, and taking pictures and throwing things in the file, and taking voice recordings and throwing it in the file. I mean, it's great. It's amazing.
That's very good.
So yeah, Evernote is one. Um, I use um, I use Kanban Flow as a kind of a task manager. It's Kanbanflow, I believe. It's got a flow there, and it's free, and you can
I was
buy.
gonna ask you about those glasses. I said, can you see without glasses?
It's
We're about the
sometimes,
same age.
yeah, it's just
I could go like this,
yeah,
but then
yeah. It's the jewelry business did it to me too. It made me blind.
yeah, we got those
All
good glasses and jewelry. You got
staring,
the
staring into gemstones can really do it to you. Um, so Kanban Flow it's kind of a task manager. It's a to-do list, and also associated with that is a little timer. And so I'm able to set that timer and do a task and take a break for 5 minutes and then set the timer again and get right back on the task, so I can get my work done. Um, those are those are the two things that keep me in line. My task manager, my list, and also my list keeper, which is the Evernote.
That's good. You touched on a point there. With all this technology and everything in front of you, it's easy to get sidetracked. Like you said, it's easy to go
Oh
down
yeah,
a hole down the wrong direction and not get back into business and into the real estate business per se. It
easy.
can't be all technology. You got to focus at your business. It works together. It's hard to explain.
It's like sitting down in front of your Facebook page. If you don't set a timer, and when you sit down in front of your Facebook page, you are SOL for the rest of the for the rest of the day, right? So I set my timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That's all I get. I do my thing. It goes off. I'm off, and
Right.
it's a great reminder for me.
Yep. That's one thing when you're self-employed or run your own business, you really can work all the time. But
Unfortunately, you can.
if you're 8 to 5, or you can play all the time too. You can't play all the time. You can play all the time and then go to work for somebody,
Right. Right. Exactly.
and then you
That's
go
what
eight
we
to
don't want
five.
to do. We're trying to avoid that,
You
Bill.
can go 8 to 5, and then at night you can watch Facebook all night, not worry.
Hmm.
Very good. So,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite quote, motivational saying?
Well, I think that my favorite quote is the quote that kind of runs through where I am in my life right now, and that is that it's said by Voltaire, and it's don't let Don't let perfect be the enemy of good or of the good. Uh, you know, it's really when you're trying to get some sort of project off the ground, especially for me, I'm a perfectionist, and sometimes you just got to say it's enough. Good is enough. Get get it out, push it out,
Yep.
and so that's what I do, and so and so that is why I've kind of adapted that saying.
Very good. And who is your favorite author and book?
I got a couple of them, but I'll Stephen Pressfield, I think, is one of my favorites. I just love the way he writes. His book, the War of Art, is an incredible book. When I need to get my butt going and moving, I pick up that book and I crack it open. Um, the other one is The One Thing by Gary Keller. So Mr. Keller Williams, and that I don't want my broker to be too angry with me to bring up Gary's name, but a great book.
Well, I'm a strong believer in the Keller Williams system. I mean, he gives it like out for free.
Yeah,
And he actually has at his convention, his Keller Williams convention, he has a lot of other people from other companies come to his convention.
I believe it.
He
Yeah.
really does. I know a lot of Remax people that go to his conventions. It's sort of like that early philosophy of give it out. And that's what he did in his book. His books, I rebuilt my wife's company a couple times, redesigned it and worked it and tried to improve it. I always used his platform, his designs to apply it, especially when we broke away from franchise and went independent, because it works.
It does work.
Everything he says works. Now,
Yeah.
Keller Williams is a little bit different design and they're a little different culture. You're an independent. I like independents which grow. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's kind of a neat place to be in a real estate business. And if we had a real estate specific channel, we'd talk about that.
Okay. There you
I always
go.
wanted to start one day and interview agents. But
Well, there's time.
you got to find the agents that know how to do this kind of communications.
Yeah, that's true, and that's a little tough.
Yep. So, that's pretty much finishing up. Now we're going to go into tying it all together. And what do you enjoy doing on your off time when you're not doing real estate, playing with the computers? I shouldn't say playing, but
Yeah. No, in my off time, I do like to actually do geeky stuff like sit and learn tech. That's my off time. But my very favorite thing to do is go sailing.
your
I'm
Facebook
an
has a
avid,
sailing picture right there.
there you go. I'm an avid sailor. I I took up sailing just before 2 years before we went out of business at the jewelry store, and I knew that I was going to have some free time, and so I went and took my ASA courses and learned how to sail a boat all on my own, and I'm qualified to sail up to 40 feet, um,
That's an
and I
expensive
belong to a,
sport.
yeah, it's you know what, I belong to a club. It is very inexpensive for me to belong to this club. I
Okay.
pay I can sail almost every day I want, and I
Wow.
pay right now about $120 a quarter
That's
to
really
sail.
that's really really inexpensive, especially in Southern California.
Yeah, but now the thing is, I do have to give back. So part of that is I have to spend one Sunday a month, and I get together with a bunch of guys like me, and we work on the boats.
That sounds like a great model plan.
It's beautiful.
What a good sport or off time thing to do.
You know, it gets you, it takes you to an entire different world in a matter of moments. So I
Right.
love that.
You can't when you're not sailing. I'm sure you're not thinking about anything except the wind, the sun, and the sails.
Exactly right.
It's beautiful,
Exactly
beautiful
right.
coast. What do you? I
Yes.
got to ask one more question. Where do you sail out of? Where's your club?
Channel Islands Harbor. So we're up in what they call Oxnard, funny name.
Right, right.
Um, just underneath that harbor is just below Ventura Harbor, and then just right next door to us is Port Hueneme, which is the naval
Yeah,
military
been to
base.
Port Hueneme.
I bet you have.
Been there, and there's
Hmm.
the Seabees are right next door.
Exactly right.
So, and Port Hueneme actually has a lot of cars that come there, half civilian, half military.
Yeah, I dodge them. I dodge them.
I mean,
They
those
come in
cars that
these
come
big,
off.
huge cargo
Yeah,
ships. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's people don't realize it. And Long Beach Harbor, which is to the south, L.A. Harbor, I should say, is the world's largest harbor for production and movement of product.
It is, at least for now. They're
A lot,
they're learning how to slow things down whenever they want to go
yeah,
on strike. It's amazing.
a lot of big boats out there.
Yeah, Yeah, very big.
So in closing, what would you say is the most important takeaway for our listener? Now, our listener could be a real estate agent or somebody in transition in their life, an entrepreneur. We actually have a lot of candidates for office listening, so I don't know how much you got for them, but what do you have for a takeaway?
Well, I'd like to just say that for me, when I left the jewelry business, I was a little bit leery as to what I was going to do, but um, I would tell the listener that follow your heart, follow the things that you like to do, and for me, I love this. I love the transition. For me was easy because I was able to take my customer service knowledge and bring it right over to another area where there's customer service knowledge, uh, where I was able to take something where people were buying an expensive item and go somewhere where someone is again buying an expensive item who trusts you and who knows you. And for me, it was an easy transition. It's not an easy business, but I will tell anybody who is going to do something like this to have an open mind and to embrace the technology, because if you don't in this business, you'll be left behind. The real estate business is still personal, right? You still have to get up in front of people, belly to belly, as my manager would say, face to face, on the phone. All that stuff is really important, but the technology too is going to be in the future what the millennials and they're going to be using this technology. They already are, and if you're not, you're going to be left behind by them. So,
And I agree, and the brokerages have to keep their companies up tech-wise.
indeed,
Yep, very good. Very well said. So how can we reach you? And you live in Simi Valley right now?
I do. Yeah, I live in Simi Valley. I can be reached by going to barrykessler.com. You can go to the Simi Valley Real Estate Answerman.com or the Southern California Real Estate Answerman. That's where my podcasts are, and you can find me on YouTube as well as the Real Estate Answerman or Barry Kessler too. You can find me under my wife's name, Deborah Kessler, and she is also a real estate agent. And I'll tell you, she is incredible, and I can't do what I do without her.
We didn't really get to talk about working with your wife as a
Well,
team.
maybe you'll have me back, and we'll have us both. How do you like that?
We'll come back and yeah, we'll have both. We'll talk. We'll interview you, or you can be sitting out there and
Okay.
we'll ask
all right.
her.
Okay.
That'll be
I'm
good.
in.
We'll do that. And the other thing too, just remember if you're in Simi Valley or close to LA, here's a guy to go to see and talk to about real estate. I think you can see his face. You can watch his YouTube. You'll understand a lot about him. You'll know he's pretty much cutting edge on what he's doing. And I'm sure you'll find a great house. How's real estate doing in Simi Valley, that part of the world?
It's hot. I opened 2 escrows today, Bill.
Wow. And are people able to sell their houses now without going short sale?
Yes, we're getting closer and closer to a normal market. This year started off with more short sales than I thought I was going to see, but no, the market's getting normalized again. People are finding that their homes have value.
Yep. Good value. Rates are low. Very good.
Yeah.
Those aren't normal questions in our show, but we do have one final question. What's your favorite food?
I love Mexican food. I'm a huge Mexican food fan. I live in Southern
A
California.
true Southern California guy.
All I got to do is walk outside. I get it. I lived in Mexico City I went to school in Mexico City for a while, so that
Really?
all rubbed off on me.
Wow. That's another story. We didn't even get there.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll talk about that.
Very good. Well, thank you, Barry.
Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, 1, 2, a couple seconds of silence.